Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Behind the Curtain. My name is Carly and I'm going to be the moderator for today. If you're watching with us live, welcome, and we encourage you to participate by sending any questions and comments you have into our live chat below. And if you're watching with us after hours, then we still encourage you to participate by sending any feedback you have by emailing us at info@majestictheater.com. And if programming like this is something that you value, then we would love for you to go over to majestictheater.com and giving us a donation. But I think I've talked enough, so without further ado, I would love to introduce our cast of Treasure Planet. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Come
Hi.
in here, slowly coming in. Host has asked me to start the video. Yes. There I am. Maddie, there's Dan. More. Haley.
Hello, there are all your wonderful faces. All right, have fun, everyone.
Thanks, Carly.
Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Behind the Curtain Children's Theater, Majestic Children's Theater edition. Today we're talking about 2016's our production of Treasure Island. Treasure Planet was like a Disney movie. I think Carly just said Treasure Planet.
I wish it was Treasure Planet.
A great Disney movie at that.
I've never seen
So
that.
good.
You know, if you guys want to bring it up later, that's fine with me.
I'm so sorry, I'm the worst.
Yeah,
It's
sorry.
a masterpiece.
Did you grow up with that movie, Carly? I mean, did you like? Is that why you said that, or is it just?
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm aging myself. The other way, though, not up.
I've never seen it. But we can talk about it later at some point if you guys want to talk about it. So, welcome. Thanks for listening, everybody. I appreciate it. I want to welcome the cast here. We don't quite have everyone, but after we give our names and who we played and all that, I'll mention who couldn't be here and who they played and all that. So, yeah, let's go around. Let's talk about. Let's introduce ourselves and say who you played in the show, and very briefly what you're up to now. Okay. I'm gonna go as I see it here, starting with Dan.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Dan Kelly, and I played Dr. Livesley in the show. And right now I just moved back to New York after being in home in Massachusetts for a long time. Hopefully, starting to get more auditions. So we'll see how that goes.
How are things in New York?
Lots of fireworks recently.
Yeah, everywhere, really. It's crazy.
Yeah, but thankfully the virus has kind of gone down here. We used to
Slowly
get
getting back
worse.
to normal there. Yeah.
Slowly, yeah. But
Slowly, yeah. Great, Dan. Thanks. Yeah, and Dan played Dr. Livesley, and I think it's Livesey in the book.
yeah, I think it
Livesey
is.
on the script, and we kept saying Livesley for some reason. We kept throwing an L in there, so I just said, let's just call him Livesley. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Everyone
cares?
it feels more natural that way.
I don't know why, but yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dan. Let's see.
Of
Maddie.
Hi, I'm Maddie Hartling. I played Morgan O'Brien, the Irish pirate, in my just fantastic Irish accent. I'm currently going into my sophomore year at the University of Rhode Island, where I major in pharmacy, and right now I'm making burritos at Moe's, so that's fun.
Oh, good for you. How do you like it?
It's really fun. I mean,
Good.
it's easy. It's fun. Everyone's nice.
Nice. Thanks, Maddie. Let's go to Olivia.
Hey, hi, my name is Olivia Taylor, and I played Lori, who's kind of like the little sister character I saw her as. And right now, I'm going to be going into my senior year of high school, where I'll be the president of my drama troupe, and I work at Goodwill, so that's fun.
Good for you. You get a lot of costumes at Goodwill. That'll be
Oh yeah.
of use to you. Have you put that to use?
Actually, I started about 3 months ago, so all of my shows had ended, but I think my teacher is gonna be happy that I have a connection there.
Yeah. Props too. You can find
Yeah, definitely.
furniture.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, towards the end of like senior year, it got to a point where the drama teacher would give me like petty cash. He would say, "Go to Salvation Army or to go pick out." Your costume." So I'd go pick out my own costume.
Perfect.
Thanks, Olivia. Let's see. Kaylee.
Hi, my name is Kaylee Flanagan, and I played Auntie Nan.
I'm heading into my senior year at Nazareth College up in Rochester, New York, where I'm studying musical theater and have a minor in religious studies. Currently, kind of trying to prepare for senior year, but also just keep busy doing some virtual Shakespeare and music ministry stuff, trying to use my voice to speak and keep hope going. So yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Kaylee. Great. Let's go to Rocco.
Hi everyone, my name is Rocco Degree. In the show, I played Long John Silver, an unnamed guitar player. And can you remind me of the name of the blind pirate that I played?
Captain Flint.
Captain Flint.
Oh, yeah.
He was great. His voice was hilarious for some reason. I think it was just to differentiate it. And right now, I'm working on my own music. I'm going to be Josh in 9 to 5. And I'm a dishwasher right now, getting by. And I'm going to be taking more classes in theater at Holyoke Community College.
Cool, good for you. Good for you. Look out for Tim Cochran if he's Tim. Oh, is that his name? Gosh, I'm hoping not messing up his name. Tim and Rich Vaden, who've done some shows with him. They're good guys over at Holy Community. If they're still there. Great. So who couldn't be here? So Joshua True, our other main protagonist, couldn't be here. He played Jim Hawkins. Giuseppe Cantanello played Red Dog, kind of the villain, the main villain, and let's see. Well, who else am I missing? Molly McLeod, Molly Damon Rush played. What was her name, guys?
Bonnie.
What was it? Bonnie.
Bonnie, yeah.
Bonnie. Okay, so another one of Long John Silver's cohort in crime, and a couple more. Jake Ingram, who was the ASM that year, was kind enough to step into a pretty lengthy little cameo as Bones, I think it was called. Was that his name? Blanking on name. Who gives Jim the treasure map, and then dies in the first scene. And Jordan Reed, who was the house manager that year, was kind enough to step in this little cameo of Blanking on this name, who's the person who's stranded on the island, an old nemesis of the pirates. So yeah, so let's.
Bell Gun, right?
Yeah. What's that? Bell Gun.
Gun? Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's called Billy Gunn maybe in the novel. We went with Bell, Billy, man in the novel. And we can talk about the novel. I have to confess, when putting the show together, I read probably the first close to 100 pages, and then we just started rehearsing, so I never got a chance. I have it here. But certainly some changes that I made, the beginning of the play were inspired by the novel. It really does start out with Bones overstaying his welcome at the inn, and a couple days turns into years, and he's just sitting there drinking, singing his tales and scaring the locals. And Captain Flint, who's blind and shows up with the pirates, and that's all in the novel. The novel's quite humorous, so I'm happy that our play is humorous. And real quick, I also was thinking about this. You know, I think Little Princess was that year, so my head was kind of on that, adapting the script and all. And I didn't want to. I knew that our script varied from the novel. I knew it was a little sillier. I knew it probably didn't end. It had more of a happy ending than I'm sure the novel had, and it did. I looked it up, and it did. And I didn't want to become obsessed with making it more like the book, which would happen to me. If I just wanted to accept our script, you know, and do the playwright service. So that's that. So, but we can discuss. If I can remember the novel, if you guys are familiar with it. And again, any other movie adaptations or pirate movies. I've never really seen the Caribbean movies. You know, they didn't do it for me. But if there's something that's similar, some connections that you can make to this, by all means, go ahead. So I will, as always, throw it out to you guys, and you can ask questions. You can ask each other questions. We can talk about, again, the story itself, or we can talk about the concrete, the details, the lights, the sound effects, and things that make up a show, sound effects, music, etc. So I will throw it to you guys. We will get to, of course, Rocco. I mean, there's a discussion with stuff in the peg leg and the parrot, but we can come to that naturally if you want. Or we can bring it up now. It's up to you guys. Throwing it to you. Go right ahead. Take your time. Let's start with the peg leg then. In that case.
Great.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I could talk for
Tell us
like
the tale.
I could tell you like 15 minutes about peg leg and the parrot. If you want to hear about the peg leg first,
Sure.
That was this great prop that looked very old, and it was so good that it was old. We had to do a lot to it. We added like styrofoam, replaced all the leather belts, and oh, there he is right there.
There he is.
Glorious.
And I just had to bend my leg, and there's some really great shots in this where you can see my leg. I have quite a pirate booty, but that's where it came from. You know, pirate booty. That's why, because of Long John Silver. And it was really great. Steve, like, you kept being like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for wearing the leg." I'm like, dude, it was a pleasure. It was such a pleasure wearing that thing. One of my favorite things to do as an actor is like transform. And so when you have a prop like that and you're able to like live in it for a while, learning to walk took me like 2 days, and yeah, it was great. So really fun way to transform. Now, of course, Poncho the parrot, who gets the best cameo in the show.
So real quick before we get to Poncho, let me give 2 cents on the leg too. So that leg came from. What's iconic that Long John Silver has a peg leg. Going into this, I said he's got to have a peg leg. I imagine there are stage productions of this, that these things are out there, and how is it going to work? And thank God there's an amazing warehouse owned by Mimi Fields, I believe her last name is. Anyway, she's good enough she rents out a lot of costumes and peculiar show-specific things, such as that. And lo and behold, she had a couple legs there, but that was the best looking one. Looks really nice, and it was functional. It comes with these belts and straps, and so there's a strap that it goes around your waist. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then there's a like a sack hanging down from the back of it, and that's where your foot goes. So it holds onto your foot that's up in the air because you're kneeling into the peg leg. And yeah, so I remember I gave it to you and said go home and learn how to walk with this thing. So did you walked around your house and your backyard and stuff, I remember you saying, right? And up and down stairs you learned to do, which I didn't expect, which was great.
I think I tried it once in my kind of thin basement stairs, and that was a little much. But you know, the stairs at Majestic Theater were just fine. It's only just like 2-3 steps. But yeah, I walked around my backyard and went up and down a hill. It was great. Yeah, it took me like 2 days to get used to, but totally worth it.
Was it physically tasking? I mean, did it like hurt?
Did it hurt?
Sore or easy or anything like that?
No, it didn't hurt at all. It wasn't even uncomfortable. I would have to say the worst part about it was that sometimes it felt like it was gonna fall off, but it wouldn't. So no, the leg was just fine. So yeah, the pirate booty I was talking about. I guess that's kind of like the only flaw of it, but I think it looked really great. I bet that thing was 30 or 40 years old.
Think so?
The prop itself, like, because like how like old the leather was. Like I tried to imagine like who used this before. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of backstory, I think it's interesting. Maybe they get into it in the novel. I'm not sure. I'll admit ignorance on the novel right here, but how he loses his leg it isn't addressed in our script, and I find that kind of interesting. And I think I remember saying to you and Giuseppe, since there's some tension and animosity and between Long John and Red Dog, who's kind of the second in command of your little troop, he had an eye patch. I remember I wanted to give everyone something. Maddie had a hook. We can get into that. And Bonnie, I think, just had a different look about her, and she had the 2 pistols, which was kind of cool. And that was Molly's character. So I remember saying, wouldn't it be funny if, like, on some adventure that they had once upon a time, that maybe Red Dog is responsible for for Long John losing his leg in the, and like and maybe Long John is responsible for him losing his eye. Like, and maybe so they kind of share that unspoken animosity towards each other, like they blame each other for their loss. And I know eye patches weren't always for eye loss. It was something about seeing at night, like making one eye stronger, but whatever. Yeah, and how did Morgan O'Brien lose her hand? I don't know. But I hope
imagine she did it herself. That was all her fault. That's
did it herself,
my guess.
like on a
Definitely.
dare.
No one's fault but her own.
Like in The Hangover, he pulls his own tooth out.
Just got caught in the door one day.
She just got bored,
I could see like you're in the. She was a drinker too. Your character, right? And yeah, I could see Morgan O'Brien in the pub, right, doing some kind of like trick with a knife or something.
Yep, totally just took
right?
off her own hand, 100%.
But my point is, hopefully, you guys, great opportunities to come up with little backstories for yourself and for your character and your relationship with other characters. Anyway.
This makes me think of a nice segue. Out of all the Majestic Theater plays, this one like has quite a bit of murder and drinking for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah, it sure does. But
death on
and I thought of that.
stage.
Yeah, but I thought of that going into it. I was a little concerned that we were drawing swords, although the script beautifully in our show beautifully I think avoids swashbuckling sword fights. That would be beautiful, but that's one of those things. I don't like to limit ourselves and all, but that's one of those things I go 1 week is you cannot have sword fighting, and it wasn't in the script anyway, which is good. So I like the way that the playwright plays with, you think a sword fight's about to happen, but then he drinks his last drink and drops dead. It never comes to that. And I was worried too about they have guns and muskets and they're pointing guns at each other. I thought, will people care? And yeah, Maddie's swigging out of a bottle. I was like, are people is this gonna bother them? But it didn't seem like a problem to me. People seemed into the spirit of it. Yeah.
It's also pirates, so it's like you're getting into.
It's fun.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too, where every year I don't know what I'm gonna do, and then when I came across Treasure Island, I was like, oh, I can get into that. I can get into pirates, and I've never particularly cared about pirate stuff, but I was like, I can get myself into that,
Maybe it's because like the pirates are sort of the bad guys, right? And like they have like the doctor and the innkeeper, and they don't partake in any of that shenanigans. And maybe like we can appreciate the pirates and their corrupt pirate ways, but still enjoy some moral from the doctor and Auntie Nan.
Yeah, it's funny, Dan. It's like it's one of those weird things where no one wants to be. No offense to Auntie Nan or Lives, everyone wants to be a pirate, and it's one of those weird things.
Right.
Pirate isn't a good thing.
No, they're bad.
Right? We're thieves and murderers, and but it's romanticized, kind of like how a Scorsese, romanticizes the mafia. Robert Louis Stevenson romanticizes, Treasure Island and pirates. And I remember in the intro to the novel, there's a nice intro written by someone saying, like, you got to remember that, and this is the case with tons of novels, classic novels, that you don't really realize. And I've been watching a lot of old musicals that I've never seen lately, and I'm finding the same thing with them that I've never seen before. And it's that they constantly take place like 50 years prior to, a lot of stuff from the 50s, it takes place in like the 1800s, or, Treasure Island takes place like it came out in the 1800s and it takes place in the 1700s. So they're all romanticizing them, like a bygone era or something, anyway. But let's move on to Poncho, right? Let's get into Poncho. And then maybe we can get into characters, because this is a character-driven show, and I really love everybody's characters. So let's go over Poncho, and then maybe let's go like one by one about characters, and then maybe we can get into the story. Okay? Go ahead, Rocco. Tell us about Poncho.
So Poncho was this beautiful parrot that lived and probably still does live at the Forest Park Zoo. 2 days a week, I would go down in costume and get to know this parrot. It had to be in costume so this parrot would recognize me. For instance, I didn't start off with the peg leg. I think I started training with the parrot first for some reason. I don't know. Yeah. But once I introduced the peg leg, it was almost like I had to start over again because Poncho just didn't recognize me, didn't
Really?
trust me. Yeah. Oh, it was crazy. Um, um, huge thanks to Gina, the zookeeper at Forest Park Zoo, for helping me out with that. That was it was a really great experience and inspired me so much. For a little while I wanted to be a zookeeper, and I still wouldn't be a zookeeper, but that's just not how my life turned out. Let's see. There were 3 parrots that I was working with. 2 were backups. Um, I mean, we all glorify Poncho, but he was not the nicest of the 3
No.
parrots.
He was
No.
cranky.
I can't talk about Treasure Island without talking about Perry, which was a cockatoo who was gonna be our backup parrot if anything ever happened to Poncho. But Poncho was great, and we had some really great moments where Poncho was just chilling backstage in the Majestic Theater, and Steve was just like, "Wow, there's a parrot in here." So it was so much fun to work with that parrot. I used to come back from where Poncho was living in Forest Park Zoo just in full pirate gear, and just bystanders would just be like, "What is it Pirate Day or something?" And then I need to explain everything. I remember, Dan, one time you gave me a ride to Forest Park Zoo, and I'm fully dressed as a pirate. And
I'm not. I'm dressed like a human. Yeah. So it's like, where are you guys going?
It's like a party princess, but instead of a party princess, it's a pirate.
Yeah.
It's
Party
like
pirate sounds like such a good
pirate.
idea.
Yeah.
I would hire one.
Then I'm going to a birthday party.
He's going to a birthday party. I'm not.
Another great thing about
Just as
Poncho
well.
is that he spoke. He would say, "Polly want a cracker." He would dance and sing, and in the recording is actually not the best example, because I feel like I just didn't give him time, but he didn't say anything. Where I'd say rah 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 rah, isn't that right, Poncho? And sometimes he would respond.
Did he? Yeah.
Sometimes he would number 2 on the stage. That happened.
That did happen.
Yeah.
But I think there was maybe 2 or 3 times where he actually did speak, and the audience just
It was the
lost
best.
it.
Yeah.
And I remember audience members used to say is that a robot? That's not a real parrot, but it was, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And
So
hear the excitement in the kids when he comes out. It's all quiet and they're watching, and then the parrot comes out, and you can just hear them all "Oh my god!" That's they're all really excited to see a live animal, which is so cool.
Yeah, it is.
I was excited to see the live animal, so I can't imagine how excited
Me
the kids
too.
were.
His arrival every day to the theater was such an exciting event.
It
I
was,
remember looking forward to that.
Yeah, so and I have to thank Todd and Lee and Kate, I believe, all helped with getting reaching out to the zoo and talking them into doing this. And yeah, I mean, I didn't know if it was actually going to work. It was one of those things that I thought was worth a try. Years and years ago, if I suggested a real life parrot, I'd be laughed out of the room. So it's one of those things. I'm glad that we tried it and it ended up working, and it paid off. I remember when we did Through the Looking Glass, I tried to have Alice actually hold a live cat. It wasn't gonna happen.
Did you guys try?
We tried, but she just couldn't. It just was too risky, and yeah, cats are too finicky. But anyway, yeah, I thought for at least Long John Silver's entrance, the bird couldn't hang out the whole show. That seemed obvious. But I thought for his first entrance with the peg leg and the whole costume. If you want to pull up the picture again, Carly, go ahead. I thought it would be great to see a live parrot. And yeah, I remember we went to the zoo and we were checking out the birds, and they were like, "This one is the kindest and it will give you no trouble." But it was all white.
Yep, that was Perry the cockatoo.
Yeah, it's like, okay, let's what about that one? That one looked good. There was even one that was red. And
the red one was out of the question.
And she was like, "No, that one's out of that one's mean. That one's a mean son of a gun." Poncho, they thought, could be worked with, and and so they were good enough to someone from the zoo would put him in the cage and drive him to the theater, every day before, on multiple show days, and bring them in, and they were good enough to put on a little pirate costume when they walk out and get the parrot. So that's why they're wearing, sneakers and their khaki, their zookeeper clothes underneath. But it was worth it. It was fun.
It was so worth it. Thank you so much for doing that, Steve. That was such a great
Thank you.
experience.
Thank you. Yeah, we talked before, Rocco, about in one of these about, shows pushing you into doing something that you never would. I'm not going and visiting birds, unless and talking to parrots, unless I did this. So thanks for doing that. And yeah, I remember, and thanks for the commitment of going there to get to know Poncho, because that was one of the things that they said was, parrots are bright, and they have their own personality, and they need to get to know you. And they were like, also, it can't go on the shoulder. That's like a misconception. It'll, it's liable to poke your eye out, so it's got to go on the arm. So these are things you learn. But yeah, that was a blast. Anyway, so let's move on. Let's if anyone's got anything else on the fly, go ahead, or we can talk about character story, anything like that. Go ahead, anybody.
We actually have an audience question if you would like.
Sure.
So it's one of our favorite questions that we always go to, bloopers. Kathy is here with us, one of our #1 fans. She wants us to talk about the blooper with Rocco trying to draw his sword and he couldn't get it out.
That would be Jake.
With Flint.
Oh, is it Flint? She might be talking about Jake, who couldn't get it. Yeah, the Bones character who couldn't get.
I think that was scripted, wasn't it?
That was
Yeah,
my.
yeah, that was scripted.
Yeah, so he was
He
convinced.
just acted it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
was flawlessly executed.
Yeah.
Jake was a really great actor. He played that
Mhm.
role
He
So good.
Yeah.
Oh my
For
It
God.
was so
he
good.
was ASMing, right?
Liversley,
Wow.
where
Liversley.
wouldn't
Oh,
pronounce
yeah.
Dan's name right.
Oh yeah, we love that.
Yeah.
And then I think Steve, you're just like, because he couldn't remember my name. He's like Dr.
Yeah.
Lucky, Dr. Landlubber, and Steve, you're just like, hey, like do that actually, like 'cause that like kind of informs
Oh yeah.
what his character is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you guys said say something different every time.
Yeah, there's another example that where like you can't whistle and you just try like 2 times.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a great moment.
Josh is like, you mean?
Do you mean like this? Yeah. We did, like the first read through, I was just like so embarrassed. I was like, I didn't know I couldn't whistle.
Can you whistle now?
I didn't learn to whistle till I was like 22, Dan. So don't feel
I
bad.
got 1 year.
You still can't whistle?
I can't whistle.
I can't whistle.
It's the same like wishy-washy thing that I have in the show.
That's funny. Well, okay, so that's a good example. We can talk about Livesly, but that's a good example.
Livesly.
Yeah. I forgot that you didn't know how to whistle, and we're like, okay, so what can we do? We'll have them. I think it's funny how because in the show you say, "Oh, here's look out for my warning signal," right? And I'll whistle like this, and you whistle the yo ho ho, and the response is and a bottle of rum, those notes. And I said, we'll just do it like you can't whistle, but I think it's hilarious that you don't acknowledge that you can't. You still pretend to be confident.
Yeah, he's
not even happening.
He kind of has to feign it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great little. It's a great little character thing, and
It's so accidental.
Yeah, and I want to commend you, Dan, for this is one of those occasions where, kind of similar to Auntie Nan too, where on the page, they could be a tad boring on the page.
Yeah,
it's great to hand it off to you guys to come up with a fun and interesting character.
I think what made them interesting was each other, because their little interactions and their little like. Where they go back and forth kind of makes them not boring. That scene where they're both like tied up, it's like, what do you want me to tell you a bedtime story? And she's like, oh yes, please do. Like that had me laughing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's me. Like I should be laughing at myself. You know?
Yeah, their interaction is great. You guys were joking once upon a time that I cast you often as husband and wife.
Yep.
And even though they're not.
And Josh.
Yeah, but we get to flirt.
The son.
Yeah. We get to see the origins of it.
So even though these two characters aren't, it seems as though they almost kind of are without naming it. He seems to come in and check up on her. I forget if you have a line about if your husband is dead or gone or what, Auntie Nan, but
Yeah.
out of the picture, and Livesley doesn't seem to have anybody. So they seem to have each other, even if they kind of bug each other and they won't admit it. They have a kind of Cheers, Diane Chambers and Sam Malone,
And
kind
we
of
kind of created like a mini family, with these two kids, and like, I mean, are definitely trying to be loving parent figures and keeping them from becoming pirates. So, doing the best we can.
Yeah, and the imagery of Dan with the wig on, I thought,
Oh yeah,
powdered wig, and it's just funny because he's so dashing and brave and all this, but it's humor, right? It's a humorous show, so there's things that undercut that. He can't whistle. The very fact that another thing I like about Treasure Island is it doesn't have this damning of money, damning of treasure theme to it. It might more in the novel. It reminds me of the Goonies a little bit. It's like they get the treasure at the end. I mean, they earned it, for goodness sake, after all they've been through. I like the end, Dan. I think we added this in too, the line about I had you close the treasure chest after you guys finally see it and say, after all we've been through, very regal, and wanted you to trick the audience into thinking you're going to say, we should leave it here or throw it in the ocean. You're like, let's take it home right away. I love that. I like that. That's fun. That they keep the treasure. It's a little bit of it's a little bit more mischievous. It's a little bit more Cat in the Hat, kind of getting away with something. It's exciting. But
seeing that picture that was just on the screen made me remind myself of how like just like the sheer volume of the wig I had on was awesome. Like that was actually my first experience wearing a wig. Like I'd never worn a wig before.
Nice.
And now like 3 days out of the week I'm wearing a wig. But but
when I see pictures of you, Dan, that you post of doing shows, you're often in a different time period, and I remember thinking, God, you really slip into time periods really seamlessly for some reason.
Well, thank you.
I don't know why, but if you put these ridiculous clothes on, you seem to be living in that age.
Can make them work. Yeah. Yeah, like that. Well, I don't know what it is. Like I was talking to my friend, like I really want to do like more contemporary stuff, and then I was just in a production of Pride and Prejudice where I had to like
nice.
I had to, like grow out like sideburns. I was Mr. Bingley.
Nice.
And he came to the show and he was like, I hate to break it to you, man, but you have a very period piece look about you.
Nice. There you go.
No, I know that's great too. But that was my first experience using a wig. And like just like keeping the tri hat on the George Washington wig was its own little challenge. I would love when the kids like would come up after the show and be signing autographs. They'd be like, "Are you George Washington?" It's like, well, you just watched a show where I was British. Well, British. My accent wasn't perfect, but maybe we should talk about that.
Let's not talk about accents because
I love it. It gives it like there's something really sweet about that. Yeah.
Who cares? I didn't care if you guys were I didn't want it to be perfect. Yeah.
It's
cartoonish. I know mine was Steve kept saying just watch old Lucky Charms commercials. And that is what I did. I just watched a bunch of Lucky Charms commercials. Yeah,
I'm sure genuine Irish people see those Lucky Charm commercials and go, "That's not a real accent."
Yeah.
It's a cartoon, It's over the top, Kaylee, do you want to talk about? Oh, real quick, and Dr. Eliza too. I wanted to mention the very fact that he sets out to find the treasure and acts like it's his official duty all the while. He wants the money the same as the pirates. And so does Auntie Nan. So it's their own stew that they've brewed. That when they get in this mess, it's no wonder. So I like that you act like you're doing some honorable thing by obtaining this treasure. It's just a game.
He's just trying to get the money just like everybody else.
Yeah. Kaylee, do you want to talk about Auntie Nan and amazed by your voice and accent in this play? I think it's really great. How did you come up with it, and do you want to talk about just character in general?
Well, interestingly, I think that was the summer that I found out I had been cast in My Fair Lady, and so I was playing both Miss Minchin and Auntie Nan, so I was getting to work on both the standard Brit and the Cockney, which was kind of an exciting thing. I think that was probably my first brush with it, and listening to it I was like, whoa, that's interesting. But I was so like on that, and she was so much fun. Like I think kind of similar to what we were talking about. I mean, she seemed like sure of her morals, but at the same time, it was kind of like, where did those come from? Like, they were very much based around her fear of the pirates. Like, I think if she had been any braver, she probably would have joined them herself. Uh, but yeah, I mean, and then of course there's the whole like naivete. Um, you know, I think one of my favorite parts was just like the, oh, I must never say that word, treasure, and then like I'd realize I had done it all over again. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
love
cute.
that scene with Rocco. That was so much fun.
What a fun scene.
Yeah,
I tried so hard.
I kind of worked into that scene this idea that Auntie Nan, that there are clues that there are pirates that Auntie Nan is just not picking up on,
Right.
such as Maddie bringing over the beer or whatever, and it's with her hook hand, and you served it with your hook hand, Maddie, and Rocco's like,
That was fun.
"Here," you know? And she just seems oblivious to it. And I don't know if you guys got a chance to watch this, hopefully. I love that, and I don't know if you guys kind of realized this or knew what was going on, but we're told at the beginning, I guess Josh do, but the sense is that we're on the lookout for a man with a wooden leg. And the entire time, that leg is just underneath the table, you know, and everyone's oblivious to it. And I think I had you, Rocco, take out your, you know, plop your leg on the table with a plunk, you know.
Oh, wow.
Hey, your face.
With the justification being like,
It's such a story.
yeah, you realize that, you know, she's so out of it that you could prop your leg up on the table and she still won't figure out, you know, you're a pirate.
I think my favorite part was
Your gun is under the hat. In case,
Oh my god, you
It's so great.
in case things go wrong, like there's a threat. There's a lot of things going on where you guys are hiding that you're pirates, you know, and that's intentional. That the gun is under the hat, kind of ready to go, like Han Solo and Greedo in the cantina, you know. So anyway, go ahead. Anybody else on anything, or Kayla, have any more to say?
Well, I was just gonna say one of my favorite lines was like, "Oh, I don't know what I would ever do if I came face to face with a pirate." And Rocco like leaned in, like
Yeah.
touched me.
Oh yeah.
That was the best.
He leans in. Oh, don't worry, madam. Like, you are face to face with a pirate. You don't know.
Yes.
A good.
Then Maddie had something. Go ahead, Rocco. Go ahead, Rocco, and then Maddie. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. A good kind of blooper moment. I guess it was the blooper. Rewinding a little bit for context. A really great moment in this play is in the very beginning, where we just have the dim lights and like the lantern, and then like we have like the voices coming from different sides of the theater, and we're all like using like different voices to sound like there's like many people. That's a really great way to start a show. Kudos to you, Steve. But I was dressed as Flint in the in the balcony. And I just need to go run back on stage to go be the musician. And so I just say my line like, I think they're over there. And then I just run away. And this one night, this girl was just like probably out in the lobby using the restroom or getting some snacks. And she just came right up the stairs just as I was dashing out of there. And I scared the bejesus out of her. And, you know, there was a real scream. And I bet people thought it was part of the show. So, yeah, I felt really bad. I wrote a note to her in intermission apologizing, but she was unfazed.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, that beginning, in the script, it started with the lantern guy and fog rolling in from the tide, which I really like. I was thinking about Ben Upperton had asked me a couple of weeks ago on one of these about what are things from if you didn't adapt the script yourself, what are things that you know, because I was like, obviously it has things that I'm not going to think of, and you know, starting to play that way I think is clever on the playwright. It's just ominous and it sets the mood, and we hear the ocean and that ship bell or the buoy bell and seagulls, and it's ominous. Yeah, it's like something's coming, or storm's coming, fog's coming. Wish we could have had fog. That would be nice, but whatever. Have so little time. But yeah, in the script it goes from the fog rolling in from the tide guy to just Bones singing a song in the inn, and he's already been there a long time. But yeah, I added in that he's kind of being chased by them, and him accidentally arriving at the end. He's got the box that we'll find out has the treasure map in it, and that's what they're after. And those are who ultimately come and find him there. And then Josh leading him in and being kind to him without saying a word. It says a lot. The character Jim, this child hero protagonist, is unassuming and is not afraid of people who look different or who are might be pirates. Maybe he knows that and is excited by that, but he leads him into the place. And yeah, I came up with the 2 days, and then it's 2 weeks and 2 months or 2 years or whatever. That gets a little laugh, which I'm happy about. Anyway, yeah, I like that whole opening up. Yeah. Maddie, you were gonna say something a little while ago.
Mine was just about Auntie Nan's character. My knowledge of Treasure Island before we did this, other than Treasure Planet, which is a masterpiece, was Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah, sure.
It's also a masterpiece. But in that one, Auntie Nan is awful.
Is she?
She's like more Aunt Sponge, I would say. So I really liked having Auntie Nan go along for the journey on this one and have her be, more of a comedic relief than just a horrible stepmother character that she was in Muppet Treasure Island.
Sure, yeah. I sort of remember us renting that when I was a kid. And we didn't make it through it. I think I was getting a little too old for that stuff or something. But I'm sure it's great. But yeah, that's funny. And that's another thing that I'm sure is like in the novel. I'm sure it's like Great Expectations and Little Princess and things like that, or James and Giant Peach, where having your caretaker be your Oliver, things like that, Charles Dickens, having your caretaker be awful to you heightens the need and the want to go out on an adventure and get the heck out of there. So I can see them doing that. But see, if I had fidelity to the book, if I were adapting this, I might not have thought of Auntie Nan going along and changing the character entirely, which I think is the right thing to do. I think it's fun. Also, that actress would just disappear or become a pirate, I guess.
I'm glad I got to go.
Yeah, it's funny. And I like too, just off the top of my head, though, that Maddie and Molly are both female pirates, which there were female pirates. I remember seeing some article about coming across an article about pirates before Treasure Island, and it talks about the history of pirates, and there were a couple. So it's not like, and I like that we did that. I like that we didn't put you in drag and make me, why does a pirate have to be a guy, So I like that Maddie and Molly are girl pirates. It's fun. Yeah, here we go. This is when Giuseppe would famously say, "All right, ladies." And that would crack the guys up.
Red Dog and the ladies, that was the trio.
Conspiring against Long John Silver, having mutiny on Long John Silver. I love that ending too, by the way. I love when they finally get the treasure and they pull the guns out on Jim and Long John, and they're down in the pit and they're above them with the guns and they pull them out slowly. In the recording, I think this often happened, but the crowd kind of got still, and what's going to happen, and the fact that you kind of learn to like Long John. I love Long John being torn between, these pirates, and particularly Red Dog, who are really bad. He's bad, but maybe he's not that bad, or he's getting older. He has a soft spot for kids. It's really interesting. It's an interesting little tale. It's about someone, changing, or about how people are complex, and you could be a thief and a robber, and maybe he's killed a person or two, but can have a soft spot for kids and maybe change at the tail end of the day. I do
It's
know.
a good lesson for the audiences that we.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and he's
complex and nuanced.
Yeah, and often the thing with children's literature is like appearances are deceiving, or not always what they seem, and so he is kind of frightening and intimidating looking. I think I told you, Rocco, don't shave all week and stuff like that, and but he's there's something else going on deep down, and I like that he seems to. It's because Jim Hawkins is a strong child protagonist. He's exceptional. He's up there with Sarah Crew and Mowgli and stuff. He's brave and he's bright. He outwits them. I like that they give him the map to read because the unspoken thing is they don't know how, and he does. You know, I like that, and I like that he comes up with the. You can't see it unfortunately on the recording, but he's up in the balcony and he's took off with the treasure map, and he's like, let them go, right? And he's high above them, right? That's, you know, just a simple visual thing to do. He's got the power now, and he says to let them go, and they all go, or what? And he holds up a candle to it. I wanted him to strike a match, but I didn't. It seemed too dangerous. But he holds up a fake candle as if I'll burn this because I love. You know, he cares about, you know, his family, you know, friends more. You know, so that's so heroic traits all around. So I like that the Long John, the best is brought out of Long John because he sees an exceptional, you know, an exceptional child. You know. So, does Rocco or anyone else have anything to say about?
I was gonna say, like, kind of back to like the whole moral, you know, we were talking about before, like, this doesn't condemn adventure or even like finding treasure. Like, I think that's really cool. But what it does kind of, I, I mean, for lack of a better word, condemn, is like the greed or like, you know, the pride that gets in the way of us, like, actually like pursuing and enjoying those things. And like, you know, it kind of demonstrates that even better than being a pirate is being a good friend, you know. I mean, that's kind of a cheesy, but like, you know, I think that's kind of an exciting and cool balance that's struck.
Yeah, that's true. I think yeah, there's the drunken tired band.
Use this for an album cover, even though you guys won't play on it.
I liked when
When
the band would tiptoe out and Giuseppe would purposely the you know, the accordion as he went out like a cartoon. Yeah. But yeah, Kaylee, now you're saying that, I was thinking about, I've not seen the Goonies too much. It's not one of those 80s ones that I Google over other ones, but I think there's a moment at the end where they just get the heck out of there and they all save their skin and they save their friend, the deformed guy, and so I think they kind of lose the treasure at first, or you're made to think so, but they all have each other and they're all safe, and isn't that more important at the end of the day? And then I think something happens where you can tell me, but where they find out that the treasure is there. So it has a similar feeling to Treasure Island. It's, and the same thing with the third Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade, the one where his father is Sean Connery. They're after, I don't know, do you guys know that movie? Hopefully. They're after the Holy Grail, right? The Holy Grail. I mean, the treasure of all treasures. And it's right there. He can just barely touch it, but he's hanging off a cliff and his dad's hanging onto him. And the dad of all people who, you know, his character arc, he's obsessed with the Holy Grail his whole life, so much so that he kind of neglected Indiana Jones. Refused to even call him Indiana, right? I forget his real name, but at that moment he says Indiana, and that gets Harrison Ford's attention, and he says, "Let it go, you know, it's not worth dying over, you know." And he lifts him up, and they just let the Grail fall, you know. So yeah, so you're right, Kaylee. It doesn't condemn the pursuit of money and things like that. That's the whole history of literature and of the world, because up until America, money was just stolen and taken and or kept by the royalty and kept from other people. You know, now as I see it, in a free country, it's traded and willingly between people for mutual benefit. You know, it's not looted and stolen anymore, thank God. I mean, it is, but you know, it's not the way of life. But you know, we're talking about 1700s here, just a different time. And but yeah, I like that at the end of the day, it's about the safety of the family and friends. But then there's the icing on the cake that they do get the treasure. And you know, I love the ending that you keep the treasure and it ends with a bad joke and everyone's laughing. It reminds me of old cartoons, you know, that I grew up watching, where there'd be a bad joke and everyone would laugh and then the credits roll, you know. Anyway, so I'm rambling, but I like all that sort of stuff. If anyone wants to talk about that, we have a few more minutes, or anything else, go right ahead. I don't want to take up your guys' time. Go ahead with anything at all. It could be something different. Go ahead, Maddie, and then Rocco.
I know something we always did behind the scenes, like as a cast, is we always used to have theories for the show, or like we would make up just fun little stories about it. And I know what we did with the three like sidekick pirates was our little theory was that had they gotten the treasure, Red Dog, Bonnie, and Morgan, Bonnie and Morgan would then have ended up killing Red Dog, and the two of them would have kept the treasure. So our theory was that Bonnie's the real leader of the three, but we just let Red Dog think he was for like his ego. So that was fun to just like, us having that. It's not really in the script, but it was fun to play around with.
That's great. Yeah, that's good example of backstory, and yeah, or what would happen. And and then the idea of there's no honor among thieves, right? Period. And there's a great line in Breaking Bad. It's my favorite line of that series, I think, where Saul Goodman, the lawyer, is talking to Walt, and he's trying to convince him, like, hey, you can't trust Jesse, listen, there's no honor among thieves. And then he stops and he goes, well, except for us, of course. Because he's a criminal too, but that's ridiculous. I mean, that's an absolute statement, right? There's no honor among thieves. You can't just throw in, oh, except for you and me, because that's, Saul would betray Walt if it meant his own skin, or getting more money or whatever. So yeah, that's funny. That would be what they would do, wouldn't it? And it's similar to, I think I mentioned before, I never cared for this movie, but the intro was kind of clever to The Dark Knight, where one by one the thieves, the Joker and the thieves are robbing the bank, and one by one they pick each other off.
Yeah.
As soon as the one has done his task of cracking the safe or whatever, they get picked off. Yeah, that is what thieves would do, right? How can you have a friendship if you're a thief and you're that low? Anyway, go ahead. Anyone else? Rocco, you had something a moment ago.
I was gonna mention the line after Poncho leaves. It was kind of an improv line. It was like that joke that I have. Well, Red Dog says, "Hey, what's full of what's in Long John's closet? It's full of left boots." And that was a joke that I told him to say if Poncho ever took took too long to get off stage and we needed to kill time. And
yeah,
then,
you needed to pass Poncho off to
yeah
the zookeeper who was there that day. Yeah. He's got to transfer arms, and that it might take him a minute. So yeah, good for coming up with that to fill that space.
Yeah, and then we ended up doing it on the first day, and then we just decided to keep it. But now that that I'm thinking about how I might be responsible for Red Dog's eye, that joke has a kind of a different meaning now.
Yeah. Anybody else on anything at all? Go ahead. Come on. I know you got something.
I really like the moon and the stars and the cloud.
Yeah.
That one cloud. It's so cute.
That one little cloud. I love the
I
atmosphere.
love the projected moon.
Our fake
Yeah.
band. That was great.
The fake band was fun.
Oh, the moon is not so the projected moon was in Sleepy Hollow and things like that. That was a big old moon. That's a gobo projection. In this case, it was another one of these toys that I get recommended to, like on Facebook or Amazon, because I'm always buying toys and stuff for children's theater. And it's called Uncle Milty's Moon in My Room. So it's
Is
like
it the same one as Velveteen Rabbit?
Yes.
Nice.
The Velveteen Rabbit moon.
Yeah, it's something that
You
you
knew
put
I had to bring it
in.
up, Maddie.
Yep.
Yeah,
Velveteen
I
Rabbit.
still have nightmares from the Velveteen Rabbit moon
Oh,
falling
please.
directly next to me.
Yeah, fell down and it's heavy plastic during a Velveteen Rabbit.
Like, how do you improv out of that? You know what I mean?
Well, luckily Ian Weber was there, and he just put it on his lap for the rest of the show.
But it looks good though. That's a nice that's supposed to go in a child's bedroom, but we just stuck it up on the wall, and comes with a little remote control. So yeah, that moon's nice. I like the whole scene on the ship in general. Unfortunately, I know the seafood restaurant, kind of the netting with the crustaceans and shells on it, was supposed to be taken off, and it was every other show for that scene on the boat. Why would there be, that's supposed to become like a sky background. So unfortunately that's still there, but what are you going to do? But kudos to Josiah to and Greg at the time for coming, wanted that cargo net there and a wheel, and then there's like a railing. I was like, that's enough to suggest the ship, and we utilized that little the little hatchway there, that Jim Hawkins could hide in. Yeah, it looks good. I mean, I buy it. I buy that they're on a ship. It's suggestive, but not too abstract.
The wood on the floor.
Yeah, the wood on the floor. Yeah, this set that was left over from Breaking Up Is Hard to Do that we dressed up to look like kind of an old theater ended up working well for all 3 shows. But yeah, not excluding this one. And kudos to Chris Thompson too. The costumes are great. I had fun going to the warehouse with her to try and find costumes. And I think I'd said, the details and a lot of accoutrements and things is the name of the game. And so we got like powder horns that go around your around your shoulder, and many belts and loops and swords and guns, and it's very detailed. It's busy. There's a lot going on with the costumes, and makes it look authentic and not like a Halloween costume. Here's an example. There's a lot going on there. The powder horn and the sword, the gun adds a lot. Yeah. We're about there, guys, but is there anything else that I'm neglecting to mention? Olivia, if you have anything
I want to say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, so like I didn't really realize how young I was doing the show, and like some of the subject matter was a little questionable for me, but I mean, I felt when I was there, I felt like I was like with you guys on the same page, but at the same time, I was not. I was literally 13, which is crazy to say now, and I feel like I kind of based myself like growing up around like because that's who I would learn from, like my 3 summers, like that's like what I would learn from. So see, I'm very little, and then there's all these like really older teenagers about to go to college, and like I'm there now where you guys were, and it's just like a full circle moment. So it's really great to talk to you guys again and see you guys. Yeah,
it is great to see you guys again.
Guys.
Coming on, Olivia, appreciate it. Yeah, and it's funny that the whole dynamic of pirates who are criminals and murderers and things being with children, that mix up is humorous, and the fact that whenever the child kind of outsmarts them or wins the day, that's humorous. Think of like Home Alone and even the Goonies again, kids outsmarting the bad guys. Yeah. Anybody, anything else? Final thoughts? Go right ahead. Anything at all? Maddie, Dan, go ahead.
Great moments where the characters break the 4th wall when Jake says, like, they're gonna give me the black spot. It means they're gonna kill me.
Yeah, that's a great.
Josh shushes the audience when he's trying not to wake us up.
Yes, when he's trying to, I don't know if that was in the script or not. It might have been. He's trying to, you're asleep.
He likes to improv stuff like that, so probably not.
That's so great.
Yeah, and I might have thrown that in because, that's a consistent thing in children's entertainment, and I put it in Little Princess, which is she gonna get the key without someone noticing? Which I took from Cinderella, the mice trying to steal the key without her noticing, the stepmother in Cinderella, the key to the attic to let out Cinderella, and in Aladdin, right? Gurman reaches for the lamp, and is he gonna get it? And yeah, so we did that here with Long John Silver is asleep. He's supposed to be guarding them, and Jim crawls over and tries to take the gun out of his holster, and we had you got a dart awake, and you said something like, "Oh, Pancho, it's a trap," and then you fall back asleep, like you're dreaming of adventures with Pancho. Which is a lot of fun. And it makes the kids go, ooh, is he going to get it? So I love throwing in, whenever you can, that device of children's theater, children's entertainment, that suspenseful reaching for the object at hand, and is he going to get it from the criminal? That's everywhere. Anybody, anything else? Anything at all?
Just one random thought I had.
Sure.
I just love, I think it's the very beginning when what's Jake Ingram's character's name, like Bones?
Yeah.
Yeah. When he was like, yeah, one more drink, and the doctor goes like, well, if you have one more drop, like he like really says like he doesn't like be like, you're gonna die soon. It's just like, well, you shouldn't, because if you have one more drop, who knows what could happen? And then literally the next thing he's like, and then like he's out. I love that, because it's like
Great.
it's just like so honest in children's theater. It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah, and it's a cartoonish thing.
He's a doctor, I guess. So that would make sense.
Yeah, but as if it works that way, right? Where
right.
He has one more drop
One
dead
more drop.
It's a nice cartoonish thing, and it's a fun way to get him out of the sword fight that he's about to have. That he kind of commits suicide. So I remember, yeah, we us clearly setting that up, where you say, if you have just one more, like,
Everybody
like,
got it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a great moment in Spaceballs that I say when I watch movies all the time, and it's they're giving the hopefully you guys all know Spaceballs, but they're giving the
Yeah.
exposition to the plot, and it's just direct exposition. Here's what's happening, and the moment that he's done delivering it, Rick Moranis looks at the camera and goes, "Everybody got that?"
Yeah.
And then goes back into the movie. And so whenever I'm watching a movie and something is just clearly, a exposition, a line about the plot or something, I go, "Everybody got that?" Anybody, anything else at all? I wouldn't mind asking. We kind of covered this, but maybe we can wrap up on this. What is the moral of the story? What's going on at the end of the day? What do you take away from it? I mean, how did this get on? This is one of those books that I've heard the expression made its way onto the nursery shelf. Because it isn't real. A 9-year-old or 8 couldn't read this. The language is too elevated. It's just as much as for adults as it is for kids. But it's one of those things that just made its way on the nursery shelf. Go ahead, Rocco.
It's the adventure is more important than the destination.
Yeah.
It's one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I always hear that about Lord of the Rings. I've never, I have to admit, I've never seen those, but I always hear that that's the moral, that it's not the destination, it's the journey, something like that.
Yeah, sort of like, I know it's like a canned line, but like, it's the friends we made along the way. But it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a trope for a reason. It works. Like it's true. You know what I mean? Like, sure they have the treasure, but like, we thought this guy was gonna kill us earlier. Now he's like, he's hanging out. Like, that's great. I don't know.
Yeah, getting to know somebody, someone who you think is barbaric or a criminal, and then you see there's another side to them. The King and I, right? Everyone gets to know Long John, and see that there's more sides to him than that. Yeah. What else as far as moralistic stuff, message stuff? Anybody?
Well, I was
Yeah. Go
Well,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think it's kind of funny, talking about like the journey and the friends made along the way. Like, I think that was in many ways so like illustrative of like our journey together. Like, I always looked forward to working on this show. Like, this rehearsal week was like one of the coolest ever, and I think it was just because like we had already worked together probably a couple times, and like just getting to come together and like go on this adventure together was like such a cool thing. So, I mean, kind of a cool thing.
Take the audience too. That's so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Maddie.
Working with you guys. I mean, I was here for 4 years. You guys really were like even more than my friends. Like, we were a family, and this cast is by far not. I love all the casts, but you guys really, this cast is phenomenal. I mean, this was also the summer of Pokemon Go, so I feel like that kind of adds to it. That was the real adventure. Was sneaking out of rehearsal to catch a Pokemon. Exactly.
That is the moral of the story.
I'm glad you guys had a good time. As I often say with these Zoom things, it's good to remind people that we only have a week of rehearsal, a piece for 3 shows right in a row.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's insane. It's crazy. But it's always good to hear that you guys were that you had a good time. I remember blocking this one being pretty pleasurable. And I like some of the imagery with the blocking. I love when Dan is on one side of Jim and then Long John's on the other. It's like this angel and devil on his shoulder, and who's he going to listen to, and who's the right person to listen to at the end of the day? Is it really Dr. Livesey? I don't know. Yeah. Go ahead, Olivia.
I just noticed, like, from like me working on shows now, they're like all with my school, and then working on shows like here, it's so much different. Like, professional theater, I noticed, was so much more different than like theater after school, because we got so much done in such a short amount of time, and it was just so crazy to me, like, how much we could all accomplish, because like this cast specifically, like, we were so tight, and like we knew each other so well, and we knew like what worked for each other and what didn't, and I think that was how the show was able to come together so clean.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just you got to get it done, right?
Yeah.
So there's no, as I say, I hope you guys have fun and everything, but it's really about it's kind of that's an after, that's not the goal. It's about getting the show up on its feet and working. The only sense that you guys having fun is a goal is the sense of feeling that when you're in the audience, like getting us just the right spirit from you guys, and you can tell that you're friends and there's chemistry between people. That's the only sense that I care that you have a good time. Obviously, yeah. Anybody else, real quick, final things here? Anything at all? Any last thing at all? Or are we good? Think we're good. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Carly, are you there? Is there any questions or anything?
Hey.
Or,
No audience questions, except what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week? I think I said Charlotte's Web.
That sounds right.
So
cool. Be on the lookout for that.
Charlotte's Web next week. So I don't think that's anybody here, but tune in, please. Yeah. I'm just trying to jump around and do all different kinds of, I didn't want to do Treasure Island and Little Princess and all these 19th century things in a row. I'm trying to jump around and do different things and cover different areas of children's literature and entertainment. So thanks,
absolutely.
guys.
Yeah,
Great
thank
job.
you guys.
Great show.
Yeah.
I hope you're all I hope you're all proud of it. It was a lot of fun to work on, and I'm glad we have it on film, and I hope you enjoyed it. And congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks you guys. Until then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.